You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up?
Nothing. It's 12:54 a.m. here on Central Time, and we're about to talk about a game that's probably been statistically over for 3 hours. How are you?
I'm tired. Beat down.
There you go.
Exhausted. Texas Tech losing tonight on the road in Pullman 37-16, and it was never even that close. You played like crap the entire night. From the opening kick, literally from the opening kick.
Yes.
Luckily, it could have been worse. You held Washington State on their first possession. You took over at the 5, so it just turned into you made a bad decision to return the opening kickoff and only got to the 5 because they didn't score any points. But man, I think with that, at least on the broadcast, I don't know if it was officially counted that way. I think you had like 5 or 6 turnovers, plus all your failed fourth downs.
Yeah, let's run through that. So fumbles lost were 2. Interceptions were technically 2, but Morton threw a third on that PAT. So we're up to 5. And then all of the downs, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 9.
9 drives ended by turnover.
We've already got some folks in YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to extra. I'm just going to call you extra. What the heck was that?
I don't know.
It was a complete meltdown. The defense had they had a good stretch in the end of the first quarter, start of the second. They had 3 drives stopped with a punt. I think it was like 12. There was a nice stretch there. It was 12 plays, and they allowed 27 yards or something. And then that was it. They did all they could do. Offense was just pitiful. Special teams had struggles. It was the quarterback defense or lack thereof. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we let this Mateer guy 21 attempts for 197 yards.
Yeah, 9.5 yards per. I was thinking going into halftime, I wasn't even worried about it. I was like, we'll figure out how to defend the quarterback run, or we'll make adjustments at halftime. It got worse.
Yeah. Got someone asking where are the tight ends, and apparently they're taking direct snaps, which I didn't mind. But yeah, when you do it 2 times on the same drive, and
it was the same play. You ran the same play.
Yeah.
Or at least with Conyers' comfort with that play, it was the exact, like everything did the exact same thing. And the second time, ball came loose and he stopped his momentum to secure the ball, and then he was caught up. If you look around the rest of the play, Morton just standing there looking. Cam Dickey, lead blocker, standing there looking. Yeah, I don't know where to look, because I want to say like the offense was the problem. It wasn't the defense. Defense was a problem. Offense was a problem.
Yes.
Let's start offensively.
Okay.
I don't know when Taj Brooks was scratched. But I will say this: even if Kitley thought he had all week, he thought Brooks was a go. Brooks was a go. If on Sunday you put out he was questionable, then the plan should have been, what are we going to do without him? Because it seems like you got into the game thinking you were going to have him, and then everything went to shit when he was scratched. And you're like, well, I don't know what to do now.
I think they attempted that with the direct snaps to Conyers. Valdez came in early, but Dickey kind of, I don't know. Dickey reminds me more of Taj as far as I know he's taller, but and he's still not as he still doesn't weigh as much, but just kind of more of the way that Taj runs. So maybe that was the thought process there. Maybe they corrected back to that, thinking, okay, well, Valdez kind of has a different style of running. He's a slightly smaller back than Brooks. Let's put Dickey in there, see how he does. Let's direct snap to Conyers. I want to give them some credit for trying to be creative on that, but I don't think having Taj Brooks there would have helped. I really don't think it would have.
Yeah, I'm
with
not
what
sure
we saw.
because the play calling just in general was garbage. And again, like you could slice it 18 different ways. It could have been whatever. But what we did see is the adjustment or lack thereof um, when things were not working or when whatever. I don't know if Morton's hurt. Certainly threw like he was hurt.
Yeah,
Everything was vastly underthrown.
or
Throwing off his back
overthrown.
foot. Well, yeah, like he finally one of the interceptions, he overthrew his receiver because he actually stepped into a throw, and then sailed it 5 feet over the receiver's head. Um, Morton finished on the night 34 of 58, 323 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions, 59% completion percentage. Um, did have technically a third interception on the 2 point attempt. That's not really captured here. Um, Aiken was 1 for 1, 20 yards and a touchdown.
Quarterback controversy.
No,
His QB rating's like 600.
598.
Yeah, let's stick with Morton for a second because I want to go over. This is something that I think a lot of us noticed while we were watching. The passes downfield were just non-existent. There,
Well,
there was just there was nothing there.
sure, like when the ball went down the field, it was never on target.
No.
You missed wide open guys that probably should have scored, and the ball was like 10 yards away from where it should have been.
So out of the 34 of 58, out of the 59% that you just mentioned, 19 of 22, so 19 catches, 22 attempts, were screen passes at or behind the line of scrimmage.
That's indefensible.
Right. 7 of 9 short passes, 1 to 5 yards. 7 of 19, 5 to 14 yards. And 3 of 12, 15 plus yards. And that didn't happen till late the third quarter. I think when Tech got their first one, because I tweeted out that stat. Tech was 0-6 when I tweeted that out at some point. And so he went, 3 for 6 on deep passes after that, which is great. But too little, too late. You can't do that down 4 scores. Expect to get a win on the road. And on top of this, let's see. I already lost the we've got a lot of comments for us. So hang on a second. Last sunrise. I watched a lot of games today, and Texas Tech was the most unorganized team I watched all day. So on that same vein, just kind of sticking with the offense. 8 penalties, 65 yards. And what kills you and what they talk about all the time are the pre-snap penalties. And we had 1, 2, 3, false starts, and an illegal formation. So half of your penalties were pre-snap. The others were 3 holdings, and then the personal foul where Caleb Rogers tried to rip someone's head off. Oh no, wait. No, they call that on Maurice Rodriguez. Wait a minute.
He wasn't in the that was Rogers.
Yeah, that was Roger. Yeah, they wrote that down wrong on stat broadcast.
Yeah.
My brain remembers Rogers being called for that.
No, it was him. And then he had 2 on defense. You had a targeting, which was accurate,
Yeah.
and then a face mask on Mateer, which was accurate. I don't like, and I get they're trying to protect the ball carrier, but if you're trying to protect a player, it should go both ways. Mateer also had a hold of the defender's face mask and turned his head. Um, Also, the dude fumbled out through the back of the end zone. Like that should have been a turnover. Although I guess it would have been overturned by the face mask, but when he went down, that ball was coming out. It went through the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
I I had issues. Well, I had issues with everything. I'm not gonna harp on the officials. That's not when we get caught up tonight. Uh, Excuse me, this morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and only because of the last drive does Cameron Brown end up your leading rusher on the night, 5 attempts, 70 yards. Um, on that last drive, I think you took over with something like 40 seconds on the game clock. You did end up out gaining Washington State total yards wise, um, which is wild on a game that you offensively felt like you couldn't do anything. Um, and they were just able to move the ball at will against you, especially on the ground. But yeah, you outgained them 491 to 416, 343 through the air. If you had told me John Mateer went 9 of 19 and 115 yards, I'm like, we smoked them. No, he gave up 300 yards on the ground at 6.5 yards a carry. In the second half, defensively, it looked like you didn't even care. Like you didn't even want to be there. Um, and it's one of those things where like it's an easy target when you put it out there so much. Going back to Joey's the brand, toughest, hardest working, most competitive. But when you make those claims and then continue to play like this, like you don't even believe it yourself. Your players don't. You don't show it. Like you're giving up. The other thing, in that same vein, you talk about slow starts and being bad on the road, and you know all this crap to address it. It's not working. So it's like one of those things where like you bring it up on like a self evaluation, like I want to be better at that, and then you don't get better at that. It's like, well, either you're just bad at it, or you're unable to change it. Like you brought attention to it, and then showed us you couldn't fix it.
I think part of their mindset in fixing it was if they won the toss, they wanted the ball. And
That
fortunately,
really
that
worked
worked.
out for him.
I know, and it could have been a lot worse. That interception made it so much better, but such a weird start to the game, and that just I know a lot of you probably felt the same way. The second that happened, and they made a big deal about, oh, okay, well, Tech, they wanted the ball first. I feel like Kingsbury did that all the time, and I still have shell shock from that, and would go 3 and out, or just some disaster would happen. And so I didn't really care for doing that on the road already. And then what happened afterwards, we were luckily bailed out by one of Mateer's 19 passes being to us. So that worked out. But geez, man, if if you're going to go out on the road to Pullman and have this kind of issue, and the stadium was, I'm sure it was loud, but
It's
it
empty,
was not
man.
sold out. Yeah, it's not like it was a sold out crowd. Texas Tech still has to go to Ames. They have to go to Arizona. Uh, I mean, they've got some decent road trips this year. If if you can't make it up to northern Idaho, southeastern Washington, get a couple extra hours to prepare because of the time change, and come out that flat. It's going to be tough to win anything on the road rest of the year.
I mean,
It's going to be
it's
tough
not
to
really.
beat the Mean Green on Saturday at 11 a.m.
Oh, we're losing that game.
The Mean Green may come to Lubbock, whip our ass, and then sleep in their own bed. They'll just go home. They'll be in Denton before the sun's even down. Not think twice about it. Be 3-0. That's possible.
Yeah. Um. I don't even.
I know
So
I'm
much
going
bad.
through I'm going through my notes because I took a lot of notes in the first half and then I didn't in the second half. I guess some of the positives in the second half when Washington State did have that drive down to the red zone and pulled a very McGuire-esque, ill-advised 4th and 3 or something from their 7. Texas Tech stopped them. Tech stopped them. It was good to see that, but too little, too late. Uh, Offensively, Tech only had 2 good drives. That was it. Special teams wise, made a field goal. That's great, but we didn't even get the answer to, is Garcia still the guy or is Burkhart the guy? Because we only attempted 1 field goal, and then I think on, let's see, PATs. Yep, Garcia. Let me see. I think he did. Oh no, we never. No, yeah, we did have a PAT.
The
I
first
think
one.
he kicked that too. Yeah.
Um. I don't want to be like finding excuses, and that's that's not me. That's not where I'm at. I'm not a moral victory guy. Um. I will say it that second quarter where they put up 20 points. Every other quarter they scored, and it was just a touchdown. Like it was 7 in the first, 7 in the third, and only 3 in the fourth. But they had 20 in the second. They had those 2 touchdowns within a span of 30 seconds of game clock. I mean, they ran 2 plays and scored 2 touchdowns. Um, I mean, um, had you not thrown that interception, and then had you not had that, no, sorry, it was a turnover on downs, and then had Kelly not fumbled it and returned, had it returned to the 2. Um, you want revisionist history there. If you erase those 2 touchdowns, this game obviously is much different. It's going to play differently if they don't stack up those 2 touchdowns like that. Um,
Yeah, that was in 16 seconds of game time.
yeah. Because until then, it was interception, touchdown, punt, 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 touchdown,
Yeah.
touchdown, field goal attempted, touchdown, downs, touchdown, punt, field goal, punt. I mean, your drive chart was not obviously any better. Punt, punt, field goal, downs, downs, fumble, touchdown, interception, half, downs, interception, touchdown, downs, punt, half. I mean, shoot, you went on a streak there with you had your field goal there at 3:31 left in the first quarter, and you scored your touchdown 5:33. So almost a full quarter later, you had 4 possessions in between there, and you turned it over 3 times, 3 times in a row.
Yep. That was one of the differences in the game. That and the fact that this offense just they moved the ball well on one drive and or on 2 drives, and one of them was when Washington State was kind of in cruise control mode. They didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, your successful drives, your third drive when you scored the field goal, 11 plays, 51 yards. The next drive, I mean, you ended on downs, 10 plays, 35 yards. The next drive, 8 plays, 35 yards. Next drive, 1 play, -7 yards and a fumble. Your touchdown drive was six plays, 75 yards. Interception, 5 plays, 11 yards. After the half, you had a turnover and down, 7 plays, 43 yards. Interception was after that, 8 plays, 40 yards. Touchdown, 7 plays, 61 yards. Like it's horrendous. Also that you couldn't figure out how to defend a quarterback run.
Gosh, how many
20
times have we seen that? How many
Oh, it's
times have we seen that?
yeah, 20 years of that.
Yeah,
197 yards,
it was a Washington State record.
and it was it was a record when he hit like 100 yards.
Yeah, well, it was definitely before the last 2 or 3 carries. I think.
Yeah,
I think he
he
secured
had
it.
that squared away,
Well, and
and
you
then
saw
doubled it up.
you didn't see much of that last week against Portland State. Of course, it was probably not needed. I remember. I think he did break away for a touchdown. It was like a 40-something yard touchdown, and he may have run it 1 or 2 other times aside from I don't know if he had many designed runs, but geez,
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that either.
no. Let's catch up on comments. We'll do a deeper dive on the recap on Tuesday.
Oh
It's
yeah,
late. There's nothing else I could really say tonight about this game. That's just not infuriating. Um, you said that one unorganized team. That's yeah. That made me think about the injuries. Like I don't know what to say. It's not just bad luck that you are dealing with so many. I don't know what it is, and I'm not trying to say there's some kind of conspiracy or like strength and nutrition staff are not preparing your players, but to be 2 weeks in and to be this negatively impacted by injuries is something.
yeah,
Um,
it's suspect.
we didn't have Taj, and it almost looked like the OC overcorrected for his absence. I
Maybe
mean,
so. All those short passes and rotating in running backs and having Conyers, it might have been.
yeah, and I was thinking about it. I was like, when they were showing the Morton graphic, like he attempted 50 passes tonight. I was like, well, yeah, you kind of have to when you're down 3 touchdowns. What blew me away is before then, all the lip service that we're fully confident in our 4 running backs, and we're gonna travel all 4. If Brooks can't go, then we'll have both Cams, and we'll have Jacoby Williams, who didn't sniff the field.
Yeah, a
Um,
180-pound true freshman.
Valdez
Let's
and
throw him
Dickey,
out there.
yeah, Valdez and Dickey combined for 15 carries and 60 yards. Um, JP says, "Am I the only one who is just tired of this? I heard a quote from Lou Holtz this morning. If you don't get it going in year 3, you will never get it going. Is it time to think about cutting losses?"
And then goes on to say, is it even financially possible?
I don't know about the finances. I would say after the season, you have to have a hard look at like at a performance review, right? Like if you say like if you hang your hat on like here's where we've identified our deficiencies and this is where we're gonna get better, and then review did you get better? And if the answer is no, like well, you've had 3 years to address that. Um, I don't even know what to do or think about Kitley and the offense. You want to think there's been so many weird variables he's had to juggle, especially with the health of his quarterbacks. Um, whether or not he had any kind of role in that and the way he called games, but um, it's I'm sure when things are bad, everybody thinks that they can do whatever job better than what's currently happening, right? Like if the defensive coordinator was terrible, if we're looking at 2016 Texas Tech, we're like David Gibbs, my gosh, dude, I I could do a better job of that. Who's teaching tackling? I could do that better. Um, Zach Kitley, I'm all world offensive coordinator on NCAA football 2014. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, it's easy to second guess when everything's going wrong, but like, there are legitimate questions about how stupid this man is. Like, I don't even get it. Like, for thousands of people to be seeing what's happening on the field and to go against you, like, what do you what are you missing? Like, what are you looking at that we're not seeing, that we're not privy to, that tells you X when everything else says Y? I don't know. DeRuiter, I I like him. I think he's done great to continue to build off of what Patterson did. Um, I really don't have any issues with DeRuiter. The depth comments are kind of glaring right now.
They're being
Um,
tested, that's for sure.
but Red Ranter, one tight end play got blown up and we never went back to it. Yeah, I don't disagree with that though. If that was the only play you're going to do, like Washington State figured it out pretty quickly. And if your lead blocker is just going to turn around and watch
Yeah.
the running back get blown up, and we're not going back to that.
Yeah.
This is a long time ago. Now that we're finally getting to comments, but JP comes back. I think that games go exactly the same way with Brooks. Yeah, maybe. Um, you know, yeah. Kenneth, remember Jason Morrow was Zach Kitley on the coaching staff when we had him? No, I think Amaro predated Kitley because Kitley came with
As long as you
Kingsbury.
wouldn't. Yeah.
I think Amaro was gone by that point.
I think so too.
Maybe not. But I'm not looking that up right now. Extra, yeah, it looked like Morton was hurt, which is just fantastic if that's where we're at again. You guys think, Chase, you guys think if I start driving Uber that in 3 years I could call an offense at Cook's Tech? This is going to the comments on the broadcast that Arbuckle was driving for Uber and apparently making $40 a week or whatever it was. And the obvious reply there is like, well, then you're doing it wrong. But yeah. Jeffrey says one of those fellows is a tad light-footed. Again, it's been so long since he said that. I'm not even sure what we're talking about at that point. Chase, if it's most competitive, then there should be an open competition for quarterback. Morton was awful. Well, the problem with that, though, Chase, is I don't know what's behind him. I mean, we saw Jake Strong last year, not ready for the time. Cameron Brown has not had a shot yet. I don't think he would be ready. I mean, let's be honest, he came from Georgia Western Georgia.
I don't know if he's thrown a pass yet either.
He attempted one
Okay.
supposedly on the stat broadcast has him as 0-1. Um, and then the other guy, Hammond, is a true freshman. Chase says, "You do realize that when UNT beats Tech, they will have the series record at 5-4." LOL. No, I didn't know that. I haven't kept up with that series record. We haven't
Oh
played
man,
them in
we
so
probably
long.
would. We might have gotten to that on Tuesday, but thanks for chasing that down for us.
Thanks for chasing that down,
Oh yeah.
Chase.
Sorry. Not an intentional pun.
JP, well, at least I've been well prepared for this disappointment as we have been going through this since 2010. I don't get as angry about it. Actually, sometimes I just laugh about it. Yeah, I definitely have adopted more of just a dejection instead of anger. Like it used to be, like I used to get really upset and angry about it and fume. Um, the 12 or 13 years of this nonsense has kind of burned that out of me. Michael, what about you?
Oh yeah, I'm jaded as all get out. It doesn't phase me anymore. I'm
Yeah,
going to sleep like a baby.
Chase 3-9 incoming. Where are those other two wins coming from, brother?
Yeah. I mean,
Red
Arizona
Ranter,
State's looking pretty salty. I had that as like a not even a pencil. That was like a Sharpie win.
Red Ranter follows it up. 3 wins is charitable.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that sad? Last Sunrise. Once upon a time, another team from the state of Texas had massive talent, but coaching sucked and couldn't win games. At least we win in recruiting nowadays. Yeah. There are, I mean, two other programs in the state of Texas that were that way, but one of them is back. So I can't hold that over their heads.
Folks.
Christopher Gonzalez. This coaching staff has been given everything they could want or need that previous coaches were not afforded. The boosters have never been more willing to go all in, and this can't be the result. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, like we said, we're in year three. Like, if this is the like, if you're showing meaningful regression in 3 years, then it's not you. But we're only 2 games in. I mean, how bad were we feeling last year when we were 1-3? Um, we were pretty down. Red Ranter, DeRuiter is an effing saint. Yeah. With Brooks, he finishes with 8 carries for 85 yards, 2 carries in the second half. Yeah, maybe. I had a thought. This is I put it in the Discord, just a throwaway comment, and obviously it hurts with him missing the game. I was like, the way this season's kind of lining up, he's not going to hit that record.
I don't think so.
Because now his yards per game average has to go up, obviously after missing a game. So if you consider this 150 or this 160 from last week, now spread that over 2 games, um, it's 80 yards per game. I think he needed to be right under 100 yards per game. He's already behind the schedule. Um, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and if it was a bad enough injury to keep him out of a road game against a what would have been called a Power Five opponent in July, it's not like all of a sudden they've just fallen off the face of the earth. Things may look different in 5 to 7 years. I don't know, but to just that kind of burns me. Everybody's, oh, they're not even one of the Power Four. Like, well, guys, this just happened. I mean, they didn't. This hasn't. This didn't happen 20 years ago. So this is still a Power Five program, whether people want to admit it or not. But if he didn't start against them on the road, it makes me wonder how bad his injury actually is.
And not to go like Don Williams on him, but like what happened, man? Like he played the game. He didn't seem to be injured in the game on last weekend.
Right. We never saw him come out injured that I remember.
And maybe we were just so concerned with just winning the game.
Maybe so.
Thoughts on Valdez usage? So 8 carries, 34 yards. I thought it was light, especially considering he's supposed to be the number one backup. Looking at his his rushing play log. I don't know. This doesn't capture every play he's on the field for, but he had one carry in the first quarter.
Yeah.
His next carry was a full quarter later.
Yes. I thought that was really interesting that he didn't even get the chance to get started. I was a little skeptical of how well he would do. I always kind of have been. When he's come in, he's a different type of runner than Taj Brooks, and this offensive line isn't opening up lanes quite like they were even last year. And so I felt like even against ACU last week, most of Brooks' yards were despite what he was given. It was more of him just kind of bullying his way down the field a little further. I don't know if Valdez is capable of that. I'm not trying to knock him, but he's 30 pounds lighter than Brooks and just a different type of runner. But I'm surprised that they went away from him so quickly and immediately started kind of hair's on fire. Let's direct snap to Conyers and hope that works.
Yeah, and then you got 5 carries in the second. Looks like 2 carries on one drive, 2 carries on another drive, and then one more, and then 1 carry each in the third and fourth quarter. So, yeah, I'm not sure. It's strange. Rancher, Kitley's incapable of calling a logical game. Yeah, I think we agree there. Philly G-Man, of course we lost. The other team brought players. Yeah. Brahe, I don't even know. Bra. 8 carries is crazy considering Wazoo was ready for you to pass the ball all game long.
It's also crazy because Washington State ran over 200 yards on them. Nope, sorry. Portland State ran over 200 yards on Washington State last week.
Yeah, and you finished
That
with
was
one.
something I just was like feasting on, thinking, oh, this is going to be such a great matchup. Of course, even when Brooks went out, I thought, well, still, surely we could amass more than 148 yards total, and a lot of them being by the backup QB in the throws of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at. You had 148, 100 whatever rushing yards you had, Michael.
Yep.
Brown picked up 20, 40, 42, 53, 59 of those yards on that last drive in the last minute of the game. So essentially, you had a less than 100 yards going into the last drive of the game. Yeah, 148. He picked up 70 yards on 5 carries, 50 whatever that came on the last drive. All right, 2-2 games this season. We've seen absolute coaching malpractice, clock management last game, and fourth downs tonight. When does the Kitley experiment end? Mid-season or end of the season? Maybe never. I don't know.
I would say if it ends, it would be end of season.
Yeah.
It may be one of those things that McGuire has to do to stick around is retool some assistants. You see, I mean, I think Aranda's on his third complete swap out. So, I mean, that's kind of what you see now for head coaches who are sort of on the hot seat. I think, oh man, I can't believe I blanked on. Oh, Sarkisian did that. Sarkisian did that at Texas year 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Just kind of swapped everybody out. So I think
So
that's kind of what you're looking at.
the guy before him, not Strong, the other one.
Oh,
Whatever his
Jason with a
name
good
is.
one. What's the most concerning thing at the moment? Penalties, undisciplined, QB being the guy, play calling, preparation, understanding 2 of the 3 point to the same problem potentially.
I still think the majority of your penalties can be addressed. It does show just a lack of preparation. That yeah, to me, it's got to be like game management and play calling. I don't know what Coach McGuire's role. I'm not on first name basis. I don't know what McGuire's role is during the game, but when you see him on the sideline, he's doing nothing. And the little glimpses we get, he's doing nothing. There was a shot there where he was yelling at a referee. I think because we got called for a delay game, and he was saying, "I tried to call a timeout."
I saw him yelling because there was a false start, and I think he was trying to blame it on the defense. That was another time I saw.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I think play calling and preparation, would be out of that group. That's where I'm at. I'm with you. Penalties, as frustrating as they are, they can be figured out quicker, or they should be. We still had another one of those everybody's moving false start penalties tonight, like we did against Abilene Christian. But the preparation is obviously not what it needs to be to go on the road and put up 16 points.
And just to look as lost as you were.
Yes, absolutely lost.
Yeah, and play calling preparation, like you will drop the game plan for whoever's available. If this is your quarterback, then you find out what he's good at and you go to his strengths. If you have a week to prepare without your best running back, your best offensive player, then you prepare for that.
Hey, you remember that time? You remember that time Micah Hudson caught a pass?
It was almost like he was trolling us. Oh, y'all want to see Micah Hudson play? I'll throw him the ball once.
And did you catch Brando mention him as the Oregon transfer?
Yeah, because they had somebody named Hudson as well, right?
Yeah,
or Hudson. Yeah. Not much else to say, guys. You got your you got de-pantsed up there in Pullman. Battle the way around, 37-16. Said when we started, didn't even look that close. We'll have a little bit more of a deeper dive on this when we get to our preview for North Texas. What fun that'll be on Tuesday night. Be sure to swing by 9 p.m. Central. But for Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.